Caroline Zamora, Chief Deputy County Clerk, and today we have a very exciting podcast. But before I go ahead and talk about that, I just want to go ahead and remind you all to be sure to follow our podcast. Be sure to follow us on our social media accounts and wherever you get your podcasts. This is episode 6 of season number 5. And so we hope that you go back and listen to our really exciting episodes. We talk a lot about history. We talk a lot about democracy, because this is the Preserving History and Democracy podcast. Thank you for listening.
Awesome. So today we have some pretty incredible guests with us. Bern, do you want to give us a little bit of an introduction of what we'll be talking about today?
Okay. So our guest is Dr. Blanca Araujo. I did it. Yay. She's with us today to share so much information about Stahmann Farms. And I am so grateful that you came to share your story with us, and welcome.
Oh, thank you for the invitation. I'm very glad to be here.
So, Dr. Araujo, tell us a little bit about yourself before we start talking about Stahmann Farms. Tell us a little bit about your background.
I was born in El Paso, in El Segundo Barrio. My mom is from Ciudad Juárez, Chihuahua. My father is from Parral, Chihuahua. My dad came to work in Stahmann. He worked there for 44 years. So we moved to Stahmann when I was 1 year old.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, and I grew up in Stahmann. Eventually, we ended up moving to San Miguel, which is a town next to Stahmann. And I went to Gadsden High School, graduated from Gadsden. I joined the Navy shortly after. I spent a couple of years in the Navy as an airplane mechanic.
Wow.
And then when I left the Navy, I came back. I went to school in Orlando, Florida, got my degree in bilingual education. So I became a teacher, came back to teach at Gadsden, and back to my roots. And then I ended up going to get my master's and my PhD at MSU, and I'm there now. I teach social studies methods courses to future teachers, so I work with future teachers now.
Very
That's
cool.
awesome.
That is such an interesting background. So before I talk more about your background, because that was just a really cool, and I'm thinking of like some questions, but I do want us to jump into what life was like at Stahmann Farms when you were growing up.
Oh, it was fabulous.
Yeah?
Yes, it was like, for being a kid, we were outside all the time. We had different communities. They called them ranchos. And we had friends all over the ranch. We would go on our bikes. We had a tree house. We would choose trees to be our own trees and take care of them. We played kickball. So we were like literally outside every day, all the time. And we always got to see our families out working in the fields or in the sorters, or our moms dressed as palomas with the white uniforms going to work, coming home. We had housing. Mr. Stahmann provided housing for us, so we didn't have to pay rent, which was great.
That is great.
Yeah, so it was a wonderful way to grow up.
There were like the ranchos were like small communities of the workers. There was even, like a small grocery store.
Yes.
There was, and so it was like there were the like the ranchos, and there were like a certain group of families, and they worked this portion of the farm. That other rancho were those families, and they worked that portion of the farm. And Mr. Stahmann treated his workers really well and the families really well.
Yes. Yeah. Some people say there was 11 ranchos. Some people say 13. So it's in between 11 and 13. But each rancho had a foreman who would take care of that community. So the people who lived in those houses, he was responsible for the families, the housing, all that stuff. The houses had plumbers, they had electricians, if anything happened in the house, you would call them and they would send the person to take care of it. Mr. Stahmann had a company store. He had a medical clinic. There was a doctor who would come and look at and visit the people who were sick. So yes, he had all kinds of stuff for the workers, and the workers really took good care of him because he took good care of us as well.
That's awesome.
That is really good to hear. We don't really hear like that type of treatment anymore.
Yeah.
We don't.
Ever. Yeah.
No, they had profit sharing, which some of the families are still benefiting from. So it was wonderful, yeah.
He was ahead of his
He
time.
was an entrepreneur, yeah. He had gallineras, the chicken coops. He had geese. He had cotton. He grew bell peppers. I remember my first house when in Esperanza was a rancho. There was a big field of bell peppers in front of our house. And we were out as kids. And I remember one time I got really sick because I was eating the bell peppers without washing them and stuff. So, yeah, but he had all kinds of vegetables and different things going on. Yeah.
How smart. That's such a fun story. And so what can you tell us about the relationship between the Bracero program and Stahmann Farms?
I know that Mr. Stahmann used braceros at some point, and during the World War II, there was a lack of workers, so these were known as the guest workers who would come in and work. And I know that he used braceros at some point. I know that for the oral history project, the people that we've interviewed, I think only one of them has talked about being a bracero. The other ones were probably at a later date that they were working in Stahmann, but I know that he did have braceros to help them out with the labor. Eventually, he had a stable workforce.
Okay. And so for our listeners who may not know much about the Bracero program, as Dr. Araujo was saying, it was a program that brought Mexican migrant farm workers to help while Americans were off in World War II fighting, because we needed laborers. And so many Mexican laborers were brought to the United States to work. And so that was the Bracero program.
So you spent a lot of your childhood there. What's your earliest memory there?
My earliest memory, I think, is with my siblings. Again, it's in Esperanza. I was a little kid. I must have been like 5 or 6. And I remember that me and my sister would have a tree. We would go and look for a tree that we liked best, and that would be our tree, and we would take care of our tree. But
How sweet is that?
Sweet.
and I think about that now, and it's like, oh my goodness, I feel like kids nowadays don't even pay attention to trees. And we were out there looking for the tree that we liked the best. We would look for the symmetry of the tree and how big it was and how pretty it was, and that would become our tree. So I always remember that, with my sister.
Cute. How many siblings do you have?
I have a sister and a brother.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
So it's 3 of us,
Awesome.
And the 3 of us, we grew up in Stahmann.
That's awesome.
Who was Mr. Stahmann, and how would you describe him?
Oh, Mr. Stahmann, he was fantastic from the interviews that we have gathered. Everybody talks really highly about him. I remember the stories, and I know that he came from, I don't remember the exact state that he came from with his dad, and then they settled in Texas. And some of the workers started off in Fabens, Texas, before they moved to Stahmann. And then he started growing cotton, but then he went into pecan trees. He grew pecan trees. Like it was kind of like an accident that they gave him some pecan trees, and they did so well that then he just kind of focused more on the pecan trees. But from what I heard the workers tell me, he was a fabulous person. He spoke Spanish. He learned the language, so he was able to communicate with the workers. He was very generous. People talk about Christmas bonuses. They talk about end of the season bonuses. We used to have a big end of the season fiesta. They call it the barbacoa up in the airport on the mesa. And he just gave a lot to his workers. He was very generous. He had profit sharing. He shared that, he provided the housing for the workers, so we didn't have to pay rent. I think we only paid for the gas and some other utility, but other than that, we were living there without rent, without having to pay for the rent.
Remarkable.
Yes, and people just remember him as a very friendly, easygoing, very kind person. Yeah, so he sounds fabulous. I never met him, but yeah, he sounds like he was a really, really good man. Yeah.
Special person, I say,
Yeah.
to run that way.
Yes, and an entrepreneur, he always like was ahead of his time for business mentality. Like he had geese, he had cotton fields, he had all kinds of tomatoes and everything. And inside the pecan lanes and between the trees, he grew vegetables and
wow.
like he took opportunities to like take advantage of the land.
Right.
Yeah.
So I know you're. Can you tell us a little bit more about the project, the stories?
The Oral History
Yes.
Project. So the Oral History Project, we started in 2016, and it was me and two other professors from NMSU, Dr. Rodolfo Chavez Chavez and Judith Flores Carmona, and myself. And we collected, right now we have 14 interviews. We were conducting the interviews mostly of the elders before they passed away, and of the 14, I believe 9 have already passed away. So we were very lucky to have interviewed them before they died. The interviews were with the person, but the entire family ended up participating. So we had the elderly, and then the siblings, everybody showed up to the interview, which was beautiful, right? Because we would ask a question and then everybody would join in, and then they would start reminiscing and thinking and remembering. So the interviews are fabulous. We collected 14 so far, and we're going to be archiving them at the NMSU archives. So and we started in 2016. The last one was a couple of years ago. So it's been quite a while since we've been collecting the stories, and we tried to focus on the workers. So we wanted to really make it the worker focus instead of on Mrs. Stahmann or the Stahmann family.
How interesting. I love that you all were collecting that history because, like you said, those elders are gone.
Yes. Yeah.
So that is so interesting, and we just don't. I feel like we just don't hear about it as much. And I forget the gentleman's name who we interviewed, but he had mentioned that some of the families still get together and kind of have like a reunion.
Yes, we do. We have we have 2 reunions per year. Actually, the next reunion is next week. Next week.
Okay.
Wow, good timing.
Yeah, September 13th, and we get together, and there's different generations of Stahmannites, and the one that gets together now, I believe it's like the second, third generation. I'm in the last generation, but I still attend anybody can attend the reunion. So you see like different generations. You see the elderlies, like my mom. I took my mom to one of them, and she was like the queen because she was like, everybody was like treating her like a queen.
Cool.
And then you have the younger generations as well. So you see all these different generations attending the reunions. They're really fun. We usually meet at a restaurant sometimes. Like we've been to Rosa's Cantina in El Paso. We've been to the Golden Corral. Next weekend we go to one of the person's homes, and they have a pool, so people take they take food, they swim. Yeah, they're really wonderful. And even if you don't know some of the people there, you feel like you know them, because then you start talking about Stahmann and remembering and asking, oh, what happened to this person or this person, or people start taking pictures out, and so they're fabulous.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That
What
does
a
sound
great
really
project.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fun. So what was it like for you and your family to grow up there?
I think it was, I mean, to me it was amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know, my father worked really hard. I remember my dad coming home all dusty and tired, but he loved it there. He didn't want to retire. He really wanted to stay there as long as he could. So I would imagine that he also really loved it. He was very loyal to the company, to Mr. Stahmann, and he learned so many things. Like he learned how to weld, he learned how mechanics, he learned all kinds of trades just from being in Stahmann Farms. He was a foreman for the pecan sorter, for the sorteadora. So, and for my family, it was wonderful. We all grew up with the same group of kids. We went to school together. We got together after school, and we would go outside and play the whole day until our moms, you would hear one of our moms yelling for us to go back in. But we would play kickball. There was a baseball field by the mesa, so they had little league teams. They had softball teams.
Wow.
They had soccer teams. I remember my dad was in a soccer team.
And the adults had teams
the
too?
adults had teams too, and they would practice here at Young's Park. They would come and practice, and then they would play other teams. Yeah, so
cool.
they had different teams going on.
Sounds
but
like fun for
we
everyone.
had everything, yeah. And then we had the barbacoa, which was the end of the season get together for everybody. So all the families would go. They had it at the top of the mesa in the volcano. And he had Mr. Stahmann had an airplane hangar up there for the airplanes. And they had the gallineras up there as well, the chicken coop. So we would all go up there, and they would make, like, I don't know how many pounds of meat, but it was so much meat. It was barbacoa. And then they had rice and beans and beer and cokes and
Everything.
As a kid, I remember the little ice cream. They gave us little ice creams with the little
With the little wooden
spoon.
spoons, yeah.
Those were the
Oh,
best.
I remember that.
Probably from right down the road at the dairies.
Maybe, yes. But they had everything, and then the kids would get together and play Red Rover. Is that the
Oh,
name?
yes.
Yeah, and then
Yes.
How cool.
we would play that, and then the adults would sing. Mr. Stahmann liked to sing a lot, so he would get up and sing, and people would start singing and dancing, and
Done some karaoke.
karaoke. Yeah, he was very well known for singing.
How fun. I do want to touch a little bit on the hard work. You know, you just mentioned that your dad was a really hard worker. For folks you may not know, when it's harvest season, you know it is because there's dust everywhere here in town. But also, if you work the pecan fields, I know that dust gets everywhere, and it's like in your fingers, and if your hands are chapped, which if you're working all day, they probably are. But I mean, it's not easy to be in that dust, that pecan dust all day.
No, it's not. It's a lot of hard work, and especially for, I think of Mr. Gonzalez here on the poster. Like now we have all kinds of technology where you can just like cut the trees with the machinery, but he was trimming the trees there. And
who is this again?
Mr. Gonzalez.
Do you know his first name?
Ignacio Gonzalez, Nacho Gonzalez. Yeah, his daughter is Esther.
Would you like to hear a story, Bern?
I would love to hear a story.
Bern picks things, and then she doesn't know that I'm related to things. Esther's older sister, Lupe. She's my mom's best friend.
Oh.
But Nacho, not the son, Nacho, married my aunt, and so the Gonzaleses are like cousins by marriage to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Small world.
Yeah.
huh?
It is such a small world here.
Yeah, well, that's Mr. Gonzalez. That's Ignacio Gonzalez, and he would go up on the trees and cut them. But when you think about it, it's like, oh my goodness.
You know what's funny?
Like,
So I was talking to my Aunt Lupe this weekend because I need to take down 3 trees in my yard. And she was telling me how her dad would do it. And he would throw the things up there to hold the tree, cut it, and then they would pull it down. Yeah. And she was like, we can do it. I was like, yeah, Lupe, we're going to take down 3 wires here.
But imagine the danger, right?
Yeah.
Not only the hard work ethics, but the danger that they would put themselves in. I'm thinking, oh my God, with my luck, I would probably cut the wrong tree, the one that
Fall
I'm
off.
sitting on, and fall off.
I'm like, we'll leave it to the professionals. How cool.
Yeah, so it was, and then the shakers as well.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
they have shakers, but they used to go and
Shake
shake
them
them
themselves.
by hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the work was incredible. And then we had the palomas, who were the women workers, who would dress all in white, and that's why they were called palomas, because they were all in white. And they would go and work in the sorters or cleaning the pecans. So it was like just cleaning,
Which is
it
a hard job
up, and
itself,
it's
too,
very
yeah.
hard to sit there and just
Absolutely.
clean.
Yeah, when we have a small
Yeah.
pecan orchid at my parents' house, and we used to be the ones that would clean them and stuff. So I can't imagine doing that many.
Yes, day
that's
after
incredible.
day, hour after
Yes,
hour.
all that dust.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think I'm for people who've never seen it, this is like dust everywhere. It gets into everything.
I've never seen it.
And then, so if you're here during the harvest, there's just like this haze over the whole city, and you're like, oh, it's pecan, and then you're sneezing, and you don't know why. Your allergies are terrible. But
Eyes
then
are
you
watering.
Exactly, and then you just see, and it looks like there's this haze over the valley.
Yep.
And it's harvest season.
Yeah.
But also, if there's some restaurants in town that you can go and buy like the shells, and they use it for like the ground rather than putting rocks, and they put the shells. But then like your shoes are white, like your shoes just get dirty from it. But I mean, it's also a really great way to just use our resources.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to talk a little bit more about how life was. Was it almost like I think of like it takes a community, a village to raise a family.
Yeah.
But we're all the parents your parent, you know?
yes,
Yeah.
for
Like
sure.
if you did something wrong, any other parents were going to get mad at you.
Yes. I told one of the stories that I told during the KRWG talk was about me crossing the street. Me and my sister crossed the street, and my dad always told, don't cross the street. And that afternoon he came, and why were you crossing the street? We were like, oh my goodness. He already knew. And yeah, everybody took care of everybody. I mean, like, everybody knew the kids, and they made sure they grew up, and they grew up safe. And yeah, we well knew each other.
I'm a little jealous, I have to say. This sounds like so idyllic.
Yeah.
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 Cool.
And they had I know it was almost like in the late 80s, maybe 84, 85. They used to have a Catholic mass there. So a priest from San Miguel would come, and he would give mass there. And we also had catechism classes there. So we had like everything there. We didn't have to leave.
It was like its own little city.
How cool.
Yeah, our own little city. Yes.
And then also, just so folks know, like how big the Stahmann Farms and the orchards are. I mean, you mentioned the hangar with the multiple planes, because they're flying in and out,
Yeah.
flying out all the pecans to be sold around the world.
Yes.
Like it was a huge. It is a
Yeah.
it's most
Well,
most of the valley.
Yeah, it's 200,000 trees. And
200,000
acres
Wow.
in 7
Incredible.
years that when he planted first.
So he
I don't
started-
know now how much it is. Yes, that's how much he started with.
So he started with 7.
200,000 trees, and that was from 1932 to 1939.
Okay.
Wow.
And then he had 4,000 acres
Okay.
in those 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
My gosh.
And I'm sure now it's larger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you have for us, Bern? I like
I
that
have
map.
a document
Love Bern.
that has Stahmann Inc., and it's just amazing how large it is. This is from the assessor's website.
Wow.
I also have a plat of Stahmann Farms, and it's 2 pages, one with a micro vision and one with the larger vision, and the detail is there. It's a quite a ways. I mean, when you're driving past how long
all
it
the
takes
trees.
to see all those trees and the beauty of it.
Yeah.
So let's see. This one says, what year was this recorded? This was recorded in 2009. And it says 507 total acres. I don't think that's the total, though.
That's not total.
That's not the
yeah.
total. Oh, I think that's the distance. Never mind. Sorry, I don't know. I'm not a surveyor. Let me see that one, Bern.
That is this one?
No, that one.
Oh.
Let's see what this one says.
That's a patent from 1957. When I guess he was adding more land, but it's interesting. It's already Stahmann Inc. At that point.
Uh-huh.
Do you know when it went to an incorporated
I
company?
don't know. I know that from 1932 to 1939 is when he started planting the trees.
Okay.
And he purchased the land in 1925. So maybe then, but I'm not sure.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
You know what I want to talk about real quick? We're looking at all these patents and how big the property is, how big the land is. How many families were out there?
Wow, I don't know. There
be a lot.
must have been. So there was 11 to 13 ranchos, and each rancho had, like where I lived in Esperanza, there must have been like 8 families. and that was one of the small ranchos. And then we moved to Plaza, which was a big rancho. And Plaza must have had probably like 40, 50 families.
Wow, that's large.
Because we lived in a house, but there was apartment-like housing in the back. And there must have been, so let's say,
Hundreds.
I'm not a math person, so, but like
A lot.
50 times 11 or 13.
wow.
Yeah,
That's
so there was a
amazing.
lot of families. And then people moved out and new families came in. So, and then it was generational as well, right? So you had the older folks who were moving out, and then new families were moving in, and that was the way it was. So we had a rotating kind of community. And then the communities who moved out, they would move like Del Cerro off of the interstate, where the big water tank is. That's Del Cerro, and that's Mr. Stahmann's community. The people who worked and lived in Stahmann moved to that community.
Okay.
And if you go to the community, the names of the streets are the names of the ranchos. So you have Plaza, Esperanza, Ojito, and those are the names of the streets now of that community. And he called it Del Cerro because that was his trademark.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I couldn't think of the word, but the trademark is Del Cerro. If you look at his pecans, it's Del Cerro pecans.
Oh, I had no idea. I never
Yeah.
knew that. That is so cool.
So that community is called Del Cerro after his trademark.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know
That is so interesting.
Yeah, and then a lot of people moved to San Miguel as well. So they would move to Del Cerro, or they would move to San Miguel. And he would help them build their home, and he would help them get the electricians and all that stuff. So he helped a lot of people buy their homes, and he also helped a lot of people buy their cars. And this is something I didn't know when I started interviewing. A lot of people mentioned how they had a new car because Mr. Stahmann helped them buy it. So what he would do is you would go tell him, I want to buy a new car. So he would bring them to Las Cruces, to the car lot, and he would pay cash for the car, and the employer would take the car, and then he would take it out of their paycheck, but the employer wouldn't have to pay interest. So
That's
it would save
amazing.
them on
Yeah,
the interest.
right?
Incredible.
Yeah.
Like, what a way to, like, just help someone.
Yeah, and I didn't know that my dad had gone through that. My mom, when I was sharing this with my mom, she said, "Oh yeah, your dad bought a car, and Mr. Stahmann took him." And I was like, "Oh, I never knew this."
Cool.
So, and then during the oral history, I learned a lot about my dad and a lot about my family as well. I interviewed a family from Del Cerro. They live in Del Cerro, and they were telling me that they went to my parents' wedding. I'm like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah, we used to. Everybody used to go to the weddings in Juarez, so they would all go, and all of Stahmann would show up to Juarez to different weddings, and
How cool.
yeah, and they had a lot of I remember a lot of baby showers in Stahmann, going to baby showers, going to weddings, going to parties, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, and I know a lot of people got married in Stahmann as well. They met there, they got married.
Sure, what a community.
So yeah.
Now, here's a very important question. Did you ever have a sighting of La Llorona?
I did.
You did.
You did? I never
I know, I want to hear it now.
We love those stories around here. Tell us all about it.
It's really funny because me and my friend Lupe, we were bike riding through the trees, and we were just bike riding, and we looked, and in the middle of the trees, just like there, we
Just
see
right
this
there?
Oh my
lady with a flowing white dress. And when we see her, we dropped our bikes. I don't know why. We thought we were gonna
You're
be
gonna be
quicker.
faster running.
Yeah.
So we were so scared that our brothers had to go pick up our bikes, and we were terrified. We had seen La Llorona. We were like, "Oh my goodness, we saw La Llorona." So all this time, I believe in La Llorona.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, she exists.
Like, it's
I
real,
saw
yeah.
her. So then 30 years later, fast forward, I'm interviewing the family, one of the families, and one of the ladies starts sharing how one of the señoras from Stahmann used to like to drink a lot, and she would get drunk and go out walking through the trees in her flowing nightgowns. And I was like just listening to her, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is La Llorona. This is her.
I love that story.
That's crazy. That is great.
So I had to call my friend Lupe. I looked for her because I had lost touch with her, and I told her, I said, we didn't see La Llorona. It was this lady who used to get drunk. Yeah, so now
That would
it's
still
like,
be
okay,
terrifying to
maybe
see.
she doesn't exist, or maybe she does. But there was a lot of ghost stories in Stahmann. A lot of
Really?
ghost stories.
Oh, tell us. We love ghost stories
Yeah,
here.
we love it. We have a whole
We
episode
do-
dedicated to
every
it.
year we do a ghost story episode every year. So we want to hear the ghost stories.
I'm not sure if I can say the
Oh.
whole story. I just remember people talking about,
Yeah.
and as you're going towards San Miguel, on the left side, there's a little clearing. It's still there. There was a like a Japanese ghost. It was a man who would just walk through there, and as I'm looking at the history of New Mexico, we used to have the Japanese internment camps.
Yep.
So I
did.
always think, oh, maybe that's what it was. Maybe that's where the
Right.
Japanese came from, like the internment
Right.
camp, and maybe we were using them as workers, because I know that at one time we had German prisoners of war and Italian prisoners of war that were working in the fields, and I don't know if Mr. Stahmann used them or not, but I know that there was people, the prisoners were residing somewhere in Snow Road. So I'm wondering if that's one of the
Right.
ghost stories that we heard. And then in Plaza, where I used to live, a lady used to tell us about a whole procession of people just walking through, but they were all like ghost spirits walking through in a procession. So they would just cross the street and walk through, and then they would
Wow.
disappear. So I don't know. I never saw anything,
That
but
is so interesting.
but we used to have have a procession for San Isidro, I've heard, and for Santo Tomas. So I haven't been able to get very much on those stories through the interviews, but people talk about the matachines dancing for El Día de Santo Tomas, and then San Isidro, and also for Our Lady of Guadalupe. So, yeah, so I don't know. Those are two of the
Right.
stories I heard.
We have a new project.
I
Right?
know.
We do.
We have a new project. We love ghost stories around here. What do you know about the Stahmann Farms today?
From the things that I have heard is they're growing mushrooms in the old candy store, and I think they also have pistachios going towards Deming, somewhere in the Deming Lordsburg area. So they're trying to probably figure out if they can do well with the pistachios. And then we still have Stahmann now, but like not the candies and any of that stuff. So yeah, I believe they sold the Australia farm, so they don't own that one anymore.
That is one thing we talked about in the other
Right.
episode. I forget his name, but he did tell us how Mr. Stahmann, was it his brother who did the Australia farms?
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so they did have, the family also had land in Australia. How interesting.
Yeah, and I know that they built more stuff in Stahmann. As I drive through, I see that they've modernized a bit. So
How interesting. Is there anything else you want to tell us about? Any memories, any other information that maybe you brought with you, or?
well, I think this with podcasts like this, and then the museum exhibit at the Brannigan Cultural Center, I believe that it's a great way to really teach our kids now what it was like to live in Stahmann, to grow in Stahmann, but also the importance of what the workers contributed to this community, right? A lot of times we don't hear the stories of the workers. We don't hear their own voices, their own histories. And this is a great way for our next generations to learn about their ancestors, their people, their community, and also to demystify and to counter the stories that we hear recently about immigrants, right? About being criminals, where we have this example of hardworking people who came here to make a better living and to have a better life. And if you look at the second, third generation, Stahmannites, a lot of us have been very successful in many ways, not only academically, professionally, but also like as people, as human beings. So I think it's important that we share those stories with our kids, with our communities, and that we counter these serve as counter narratives for those stories that we hear about immigrants nowadays.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is such a feel-good story.
It is.
Yeah.
It really just brings joy to my heart.
Me too.
Yeah.
So cool getting to hear that like you've become so successful as well, and you started like with a program like this, and now you. How about your
Yes.
siblings as well? Have they?
Yeah,
been able to-
both my siblings have master's degrees. So yeah, and a lot of my friends, there's doctors, there's medical doctors, there's PhDs, there's engineers, there's nurses, and all kinds of like really good people, right? That hardworking, and I believe that a lot of that comes from the Stahmann workers, that hard work ethics.
Yeah.
That was passed on to the next generation. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. Awesome.
I also think I keep coming back to how much it was like a community, and really like it takes a community to raise children. I think the nuclear family may have hurt the country more than anything, because I really believe that you should be raised by aunts and uncles and grandparents, and you should have or family friends, and there should be a community around you, not just your immediate family. But I think back to like you grew up in a community, like, and that everyone was taking care of everyone.
Yeah.
And that you made sure that everyone was okay, and that everyone was doing right, and that everyone went to school, and that the kids have fun, and that everyone was raised right.
Yeah.
And there's something really, I think, to that, on how that just kind of created all this flourish of success.
Yes, I agree. And I think that even now, even though we don't keep in touch as much as we would like to, we still take care of each other. Like with these, with the museum opening, they all showed up. All the Stahmann people
fantastic.
showed up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I knew that there was support, right? You felt it, like, wow. It's like, oh my goodness.
I love that. I love it. We have two pictures. I know we talked about Nacho a little bit, Mr. Gonzalez here a little bit, and the picture behind me, Bern, what do we got?
We have a beautiful shot of driving through Stahmann Farms with the trees overhanging the street.
So if you're ever driving between Las Cruces and El Paso, get off the interstate and go take the old highway and drive through the pecan. It's a 7-minute difference. I used to time it
That's
when I used
it?
to live out there.
Okay.
It's a 7-minute difference. And go and take the old highway and drive through the beautiful pecan field and get off the interstate. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here. Dr. Araujo, thank you so much for everything you do, and for this really important story and project that you're doing. If you ever need anything from our office, let us know. It's a very cool project.
Thank you.
If you guys want to record anything here, that would be really cool before you archive it with
Oh,
NMSU.
awesome. Thank
and that
you.
way it'll be in
Yes.
it will be stored here permanently, because we
That's
cannot we
wonderful.
keep all of our archives forever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now that you mentioned the driving through, and that's one of the things that I advocate for, is when you drive through and you look at the beauty of the trees, like think about the history and the people who worked those trees and who worked that land and who made it what it is now, right? And the stories behind the trees and the beauty behind that. Yeah. Because I see so many people stopping and taking pictures in their caps and gowns and their wedding dresses, and I always wonder if they know the history behind it, and how many people lived here, and how many people died here, and how many people were born here, and all those beautiful stories. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It gives me chills. It really does, because I think of like how beautiful that is, and like the blessings on the land, and why people probably love going there to take pictures of all these beautiful moments in their life. And there's got to be something about that land that is blessed by these amazing hands and these wonderful stories.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Oh, Bern, you got us a good one today.
Another
Bern.
one.
I know, Bern.
Again.
Okay,
I
Jake.
want to thank
Yeah,
you
go
so
ahead.
much for coming and sharing this beautiful story with us. And I'm really quite happy for you to having had that experience.
Yes, thank you. And I want to thank you all so much for inviting me and for allowing me to share this story with many more people. It's very important that we continue to share our history and the history of the workers who have made this community what it is now. So, yeah, thank you. The more I can get it out there, the better. So
Well,
I
you know
am
what?
so
When
grateful to you.
When you all write a book about the stories, or when you collect more stories, let us know, and we'll do some more follow-up episodes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Absolutely. All right. Well, everyone, thank you all so much for listening. I want to thank Bern Caporal, who is our producer and researcher extraordinaire, who brought us this amazing episode and brings us lots of great episodes. I also want to thank Cynthia Mendoza, our communications coordinator, who also makes sure that I show up when I need to show up and tells me where I need to be and what I need to do, and also helps produce this amazing podcast. Thank you to our special guest, Dr. Blanca Araujo, for the amazing work that you're doing with collecting these stories and this history, and thank you for joining us today. My name's Caroline Zamora, and I'm the Chief Deputy County Clerk. Thank you for listening. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media. Be sure to listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. Watch us on YouTube, and happy listening. We'll see you next time.